All right, so fellas, as we kind of round things into form here, did you guys hear James Franklin kind of go off? He was talking
Oh,
about how
I loved it.
scheduling, some teams are buying their way out of schedules, and basically he's saying some teams our schedules are softer than others. Mind you, they've played no one this year. Like who has Penn State played? Now they would say he was just answering the question, but he took liberties in answering that question and seemingly taking aim at Michigan. DG, this is what it seemed like to me. Listen to what James Franklin had to say. So I don't have his comment. I don't have the
Oh, I
quote.
thought you were about to play it.
No, I don't have
Oh,
the quote.
I mean, James Franklin is funny to me. I like James Franklin because he let them reporters have it. I thought you was about to talk about the reporter that asked, should he just throw the ball deep sometimes just because? And he like, wait, what? What? You making my skin crawl? Like, what are you talking about? But as far as the whole scheduling thing, the coaches is petty. All of them. They all take shots at each other, subliminal or maybe direct. Uh, and the fact that like you said, he's saying that, but they haven't played anybody is kind of, it's kind of ironic and whatever. I don't read too much into it though. I think that James Franklin is hilarious. I think he's a pretty good coach. I think he does a good job.
I think he's a
And
really good coach.
I think with NIL, he should be able to compete a little more. And once he gets, even more players, because I think they always got good players, but just not the caliber of Michigan and Ohio State. Once he gets the, best players, he should be able to show. And this year they look like a tough competitor. And I remember I was at the game when they played Michigan one year and they rushed for like 500 yards or 400 yards, something crazy. That can't happen, especially if you're going to be talking crazy like this. Because do you look at yourself as one of those teams that was bought so we can play y'all to just embarrass y'all? I don't think he looks at himself that way. So he's got a couple opportunities this year to prove that he is the coach that a lot of people think he is, and maybe prove some people wrong for thinking that he's not a good coach.
So what has he done in his career at Penn State to make you think he's a pretty good coach?
He's won. He's won at Penn State. Listen, man, you have
He
to
got
realize.
one big victory, DG. One big victory.
Well, there were no big victories, but did we say that Coach Harbaugh was a bad coach or not a good coach because he didn't have his bigger victories? No, we didn't.
But Jim Harbaugh had won at San Diego, took them to the, made them better. Turned Stanford totally around, and then took the 49ers to the Super Bowl. What has James Franklin done anywhere close to Jim Harbaugh?
Sam, where was the big game that Coach Harbaugh won is what I asked.
Not at Michigan, he hadn't won the big game, but he had
No. Okay, what big game at anywhere?
He took DG. He took a team to the Super Bowl. He went to like 3 straight NFC championship
games. I don't really want to talk about
I
don't want to talk about NFL.
Did he win the Rose Bowl?
Because no, he didn't. And you making me almost attack Harbaugh. I don't want to talk about NFL because NFL and college 2 different things. We saw Urban Meyer be a top 3 all-time coach and then can't do it in NFL. So we want to talk about NFL. We want to talk. Time. Let me get my chance. We want to talk about Jim Harbaugh as a college coach. He never won a conference until we just saw him win it with Michigan. And I'm not saying that he was a bad coach, but I'm saying I didn't agree with people saying he wasn't a good coach at the time. And so I can't say that James Franklin not a good coach because he haven't won a big game.
So James Franklin did not.
But he got to go against Ohio State, Michigan.
Think about what James Franklin took over. You might say he took over Penn State. By the time he got it, Bill O'Brien had got it to a certain level.
They had a quarterback that was a walk-on.
He didn't take a team like Stanford who hadn't done anything and went in the USC house and put it on them and completely flipped the league. He flipped the whole Pac-12, made Stanford a power, established that program for over a decade after he left. They were still good. Come on, DG.
Sam, your argument was what big game did he win? And I just simply said
USC.
That's a regular season game.
But it's a USC when Pete Carroll was there.
I'm not trying to hear it. Unless you win a championship is a big game. Winning against if Penn State beat Ohio State this year, are you going to say a good coach now?
Oh yeah, if Penn State beats Ohio State this year, sure I will. Because it's been such an anomaly, just like it was for Jim. But Jim actually came in with a track record before that. Is my point.
That's
like he had something to say. All right. Yeah, it's not going that well at Michigan, but he did have a Super Bowl team. He did turn Stanford around when Stanford was nothing, right? You had some things going. With James Franklin, he has one victory on his resume.
It feels like, which one is that?
That's when he beat Ohio State in 2016.
So that's a big game. What are we talking about?
That's what I'm saying. He got one big game.
You pointed to one big game at Stanford.
But it's, to me, looking at them at that time, Pete Carroll,
I ain't trying to hear that. I ain't trying to hear that. You said big game. You said one big game. You said one big game as he won, and I didn't even know it. You gave it to me. He beat Ohio State. Now listen to this. I didn't say that James Franklin was a great coach. I said he's a pretty good coach. He can't be a pretty good coach. Wow, Sam, that's wild. That's wild.
I think he's an okay coach. I think he's okay.
Pretty good and okay is synonyms, Sam. And pretty good and okay is synonyms. What are you talking about?
Pretty good. No, pretty good and okay ain't our synonyms to me. Pretty good is pretty good. Okay is less than pretty good as far as I'm concerned. He's an okay coach. You know what he is? You know what he's good at?
He's a serviceable coach.
He's a great recruiter.
I ain't seen him not take a knee when he's supposed to. And I ain't seen him lose games that he's supposed to win either.
And this dude,
he's an above average. He's an above average coach. Sam, he's an average coach. He's an above average.
He's above average. Like, what are you talking about, Sam? And his record would suggest such. His record would suggest he's an above average coach. And I'm just telling you, people were saying that Harbaugh's a bad coach because he couldn't win the big one at Michigan. They were saying that, and I never jumped on that. I said, "What are you talking about? He's a good coach." I probably said pretty good. I mean, he's a pretty good coach, right? Yeah. He hasn't won the big one, but he's a pretty good coach. Penn State hasn't won the big one, and I don't think they've had the pieces that can make him a great coach. But let's be clear. You can't be a great coach without great players, period.
Hey, wasn't Sam saying Prime is a great coach already? James Franklin has done more than Prime, right?
So
true. It's a fact.
I said
it's a fact, Sam. No, don't you put that head down. You pick your head up and you defend yourself.
Here's what I found with Deion Sanders that is totally different. What I said about him is he is a great motivator, a guy who can take dudes who are average dudes as far as mentality and make them feel like they're prime. That is a great ability that I've seen from him in turning around now two programs. No one expected for him to be able to turn this program around overnight. I would argue that his success this year, as limited as it is, far surpassed expectations already.
TCU just lost to Iowa State, Sam.
Okay.
I just watched the film.
They were going to lose every game. It was a team that won one game.
I get that. And see, Sam, you making me attack people that I don't want to attack. But you are taking it too far to say he ain't even above average as a coach.
Okay, have you watched this dude as a game coach? All the things he flubs, especially when clock management, especially. This dude, he's a habitual offender as far as that's concerned.
Hey, but with Colorado, that's not the same team that went 1-11 last year.
Exactly. Come on now. They are stacked. If they're playing 7-on-7, they probably win the national championship.
And even with that, even with him flipping the roster, what were all the prognosticators saying? He's going to
come in. That's because they stupid and they don't like Deion. They don't like what he's doing. You got to, Sam, what was Devin saying? That's what you need to say. Stop with all the prognosticators. Stop that. They garbage, and they was hating because Deion is a outspoken black man telling you what he gonna do. You know that don't go over well with nobody. Even for some black people, they don't like that. I don't like the way he talking. So don't let that fool you. And that's why they were saying that they weren't gonna win no games. But if you looked at the roster, they have really good football players. And a lot of the question mark was, is Deion's son gonna be what Deion say he is? And he proved that he is. So don't do the
So I had to go back and look and see exactly what Jim did in his last year. They got a BCS Bowl invitation to the Orange Bowl. They went and beat Virginia Tech in the Orange Bowl.
That's what it was.
It was the first BCS Bowl victory in program history. I'm like, man, what are we talking about? Why are we comparing these two? Like, it's not even close.
We're comparing them because you forced us to. You forced us to because you said he's not a good coach.
You said what about Jim Harbaugh? Is he not a good coach because he didn't beat Ohio State?
I didn't say. I said, what were people saying about him? I said they were saying he's not a good coach, and I was saying the same thing I'm saying now, which I said he was not a bad coach.
Some people had some recency bias with Jim. Some recency bias that wasn't totally unwarranted. But you got to go back and look at it. Let's look at the man's. Let's look at his resume now. Like he's turned around 3 programs. Think about that.
I don't want to do the resume thing because all I know is
winning. Stanford was not winning anything, or first San Diego was not winning anything before Jim Harbaugh. He left them. They were a winner. Stanford was not winning anything before Jim Harbaugh. He left them, and they were a winner. San Francisco 49ers had some talent, but they certainly were not winning. They certainly were not a playoff team. He took them to multiple NFC championship games and went to the Super Bowl, even with them falling short.
Because of that, does that make James Franklin a bad coach?
That make him not even comparable to Jim Harbaugh.
We're not saying that he's equal to Harbaugh or even close. I simply said people were saying that he was a bad coach, just like you saying he a bad coach because he hadn't won the big game. Listen to me. I don't think James Franklin's a great coach, and I never said it. It seems like you're making it seem like I said that, which I did not. I said he's a pretty good coach, which most people in the world would say, yeah, I think he's a pretty good coach, because his record suggests that, yeah, he's a pretty good coach. He ain't average. He a little bit above average. So I don't know what you even arguing, Sam. You need to shut it down.
Thank you, Stan. He had to go sign.
Hey, I think
it's irrelevant. Exactly.
Hey, right. Franklin's probably telling everybody that, you know, if the count is really 2-1, everybody wants to point to San Francisco, but two Big Ten championships to one.
Not to mention, James Franklin did beat Michigan.
He did. He beat Michigan when they weren't that good, but okay.
Who's the coach?
Put that on your resume.
Who's the coach?
Hey, he was falling short.
Who was the coach when he beat him?
And by the way,
answer the question, Sam. Who was the coach when he beat him? Who was the coach when he beat him?
Hey, Jim Harbaugh. But hey, he beat the years he beat Michigan. Michigan was down. Let's see him do that when Michigan is up. I give him some respect. He beats Michigan this year. I really will. But
I don't think that'll happen. But he has beaten Jim Harbaugh head to head more than once. Yes.
So yes, he has.
So why are we acting like he's just a scrub as a coach?
He's an okay coach.
And at that time when he beat them, I would say Michigan had better players.
Really recruit. Here's the measure of Greg. He had
Saquon Barkley.
He had Saquon Barkley.
That's a good player.
And Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley and Micah Parsons. What hardware do we? I'm looking around. I'm trying to find the hardware to go with Saquon Barkley and Micah Parsons.
Sam, as a head coach, he's 107-51. Come on, man, stop doing that. He's a good coach, man. He's a pretty good coach.
Yeah.
Come on, man. He 107-51. Quit playing.
He's a great recruiter.
Yeah, you can say that all you want. His record says he's 107-51, and his bowl record is better than Harbaugh's. 6-5. Not great, but it's pretty good. Yeah. Come on, man. You got me defending James Franklin like I'm a James Franklin guy. Come on, man.
Where his playoff?
Put some reason in here. Can we get some reason?
Where his playoff appearances at? I'm trying to find it.
Oh my God! All right. You got me defending James Franklin. That's crazy. Well, 107-51 speaks for itself.